Hi, hello, I welcome everyone to the new webinar by Propeller Ads.
Hi everybody, we are glad to see you today here at the webinar.
Today we are going to talk with you about CPA Goal to Zero, and this webinar is going to be really special for two reasons. First of all, it is really cool tool, and today we'll explain you why. And second, let's move to the next slide to see it. The second reason is because of who we are.
Yeah, let's introduce ourselves.
So my name is Yakov Becker. I am a product head director at Propeller Ads. I am also member of the board, so you will be getting your information from the top of the food chain, so to speak.
And I'm Sergey Kozlov, head of research and analytics department. I've changed my style a bit comparing to the picture you see, but it's still me.
Yeah, it's still him, I confirm. So let's begin with our agenda. Let me say a few words about the purpose of this webinar. As we're following up our clients' work, we noticed that people don't use CPA Goal to Zero as much as they could. Just for the reference, it is special, very smart, very effective bidding algorithm that works much more efficiently than any other approaches, including traditional CPM. So we have noticed that people don't use it frequently enough. We investigated the issue and found out that many affiliates just don't understand what it is about and how it works. It seems very complicated to them. In fact, it is not so complicated. And today we will prove this to you. People mainly stick with known solutions, and by doing so, they miss out on a great profit opportunity. In fact, CPA Goal to Zero allows you to consistently get 5 to 10 times higher profits than CPM.
Yeah, that's true. Many affiliates stick with traditional CPM bidding and don't even realize how much more money they could have if they tried CPA Goal 2.0 for a change.
Exactly. And now let's move to our agenda. So today we will explain you what is CPA Goal to Zero is about in a nutshell. We'll provide you with a general overview and detailed explanation. And by the end of the webinar, you will be able to explain it to anyone in the room. I'm certain of it. We will dig deeper on how it works and show how it differs from the CPM bidding. It might seem like little bit complicated right now, but you will see that this actually is a very smart and elegant solution.
You will never want to work with any other pricing model again.
Yeah, it is quite possible. We'll also show you examples and provide case studies, so you will be able and you will to use it by yourself, and you will see by yourself that the result is very different for two similar campaigns launched with CPM and CPA Goal to Zero.
Next, we'll talk about the optimization period and why it's crucial for the CPA Goal model to work properly. I'm sure that many of the questions that you have right now will be answered by then. Next, we will show you how to set it up with a detailed step-by-step explanation of every stage. You will see that it's actually very simple to set it up and doesn't require any rocket science moves. We'll also give you tips on what to do and what not to do, so-called best practices.
Great, and now let's start with the main part. So what is the CPA Goal to Zero? And first, let's look at its definition. CPA Goal to Zero is dynamic bidding algorithm that automatically adjusts your bid in order to get as many conversions as possible at specified price. Its ultimate goal is for your campaign to get the highest profits altogether. So what does this model do? It provides you with traffic that converts best on your campaign. It's important to mention. It doesn't get you some universally high quality pricey traffic that would convert on any campaign. It gets you exactly those shares of traffic that works well with your campaign, with your targeting settings, frequency, and other parameters. Next, it buys as much of this traffic as possible by placing a dynamic bid based on your campaign performance. The math is simple. The better your campaign performs, the more traffic you will be getting. Finally, CPA Goal to Zero is not just tied to the conversion price. It has more sophisticated mechanism, which we will talk about a bit later. The results speak for itself. In the majority of cases, CPA equal to 0 allows you to get much higher profits than any other alternative, such as CPM or even more advanced and sophisticated bidding model, Smart CPM. The bottom line is that if you haven't tried it yet, you are missing out on a great opportunity. Now, let us look under the hood, so to speak, and see how it all is possible, how this algorithm works on inside, and how it is able to achieve such great results. If you remember, it's something 5 to 10 times more than CPM. To do that, we will need to cover several important terms. We'll talk about impression, conversion rate, and the auction. And first of all, let us lay down the definition of impression. What is it? So when a certain user comes to the website and sees your ad placed on that website at a particular time, this is considered as impression. This is what you are paying for. You're paying for impressions. However, not all impressions are made equal, as we say here. An impression has many parameters because each user and each placement is different.
And so what are those parameters?
Oh, this is a great question, Sergey. As we can see here on the slide, ad placement, which we call a zone, this is one parameter. And on the other hand, we have a set of user parameters. So one of them is geo, which shows from which country user comes. Next, it's view count. It shows how many times a particular user has seen an ad on this placement. This parameter is very important because the more users see an ad at the certain placement, the less engaged they become. So if the user sees an ad for the first time, it's much better in terms of conversion than if they see it for the 10th time today. Then we have device type. It can be mobile or desktop device, an operating system. People with modern, more expensive devices, let's say latest iPhones, interact with ad differently than users with older Androids. So such good impression costs more. Also, there is a connection type. Connection time sometimes also pay the difference. It can be either Wi-Fi or 3G, and it also affects the impression cost. For example, for some offers, 3G is better than Wi-Fi, and for others, it is other way around. So as you can see, an impression has many parameters, and these parameters highly affect its price. So now let's look to the next topic. Here we talk about conversion and conversion rate. So a conversion rate is the number of conversions that you will get from 1,000 impressions of the particular type. For example, if you get 1,000 impressions from Brazil, from Android devices and 3G connection, you will get 2 conversions. So your conversion rate will be 2 on 1,000. If you will have 1,000 impressions from iPhone first view coming from the US, you will have 5 conversions. So the conversion will be higher, let's say 5 on 1,000. In summary, the characteristic of a traffic impacts its conversion rate. So in a short, the better traffic, the more conversion rate you will get. And the last important term to mention here is an auction. So what it is? For each placement, there is a competition among advertisers. That means that for every ad placement in Propeller Ads, there are multiple advertising campaigns that want to claim it. The choice of which ad to show at a certain zone is made automatically with the help of bidding auction. The advertisers who put the highest CPM bid win the auction and gets an impression for their ad. So for you to win the auction, your bid should be the higher than any other advertiser who competes for the same impression. Okay? Now that we covered the 3 important terms, impression, conversion rate, and auction, let's see how CPA equal to 0 works and how it differs from the CPM model. To do that, we need the chart. Okay, please look at the chart. Let's assume that your campaign got 6 various impressions. They all marked with this star and number. In reality, there are millions of impressions, but for the sake of simplicity of our model, we will be talking just about 6. The horizontal axis is the time. So this impression happens from noon to midnight. And the vertical axis is the CPM price. So you can see how much each impression costs. Now let's examine each of them in detail. Impression 1 and 6 came from zone A.
And why is their price so much lower than other impressions? What's the reason for that?
Well, probably because zone A is less quality than zone B. But the impressions that came from zone B also have different prices because their user parameters differ. For example, impression 3 came from the old Android device, and impression 5 came from the latest iPhone model. As I've mentioned before, there are many parameters that in fact impact cost of the impression.
And how do each of these impressions convert?
Okay, for this, let's go to the next slide. So, not surprisingly, the high-priced impression converts better. For example, impression number 5 converts much better than all others, but it also costs the most. Another important thing to note is that there is impression 1 and impression 6. These impressions have zero conversion rate. That means that for your campaign, they don't convert at all. So it doesn't matter how much traffic you buy from this type, you will still have zero conversion in the end. So as you can see here, the highest conversion comes from impression 5, and the bit less for impression 2 and 4, and the lowest conversion comes from impression 3. On 1 and 6, you won't get any conversions.
And how does the CPM model work with these impressions?
Okay, it's most interesting part. So let's assume we are using a CPM pricing model and we place 2.5 cents bid. Which impression do you think this model will buy? Guys, please write your suggestions in chat. What do you think we will buy by putting this bid, 2.5? Yeah, okay. I mean numbers. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay, I appreciate the humor, but okay. Thank you, guys. The right answer, of course, is 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, and why? So the CPM model will buy impression 1, 3, 4, and 6 simply because your bid is higher than their price, and you will buy out this traffic. So you will not buy 2 and 5 because the price of impression number 2 and number 5 is higher than your bid. Okay. Okay. But what do you think the value of it? Let's go to the next slide to see it. Here we do see a main problem with the CPM bidding. First of all, you paid for impression number 1 and number 6, even that they have no value for you. They bring no conversion at all, but you still bought this traffic.
So you basically lost money.
Exactly. Also, you bought impression number 3, which has very low conversion rate. So probably you paid too much for it. The only good decision here was to buy impression number 4. You get a reasonable conversion rate from it, and you pay a reasonable price.
So is it right? Only one good impression out of all of them?
Yes, this is what you get. And now let's see what happens if you use CPA Go to 0 model on the same set of impressions. Okay, so look at the chart. Look closely, okay? What difference do you see here? Guys, what difference do you see in this chart?
Right, it's dynamic.
Dynamic is good. Yes, it's correct. We bought number 5. This is absolutely correct. Very CPA. Yeah, we bought 4 and 5. Great. Okay. So And one of the most important things that we didn't buy impression number 1 and number 6 here. So first of all, it didn't buy the impression with 0 conversion rate because they have no value for your campaign. The system just put a 0 bid on such traffic, so you don't buy it. Here you should understand the main goal of the CPA Goal to Zero algorithm is to calculate the conversion rate for each impression type in the most precise way. So it predicted that impression 1 and 6 will give you no conversions. It skipped the bidding for this conversion altogether.
What about impression number 3? And I see the algorithm didn't buy it even if it has a positive conversion rate.
This is true, but this conversion rate is very low. So in this case, the system provided very low bid for this impression based on its value. And as a result, you didn't win the auction, which is good for you. And let's look what you got. You actually got the best impressions. You got 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 5th. So overall, you get much more conversion than the CPM model. If you make the calculation, you will see that it is almost 10 times more conversions. Basically, CPA Goal works better because it doesn't buy the useless traffic. It buys only those impressions that actually bring you conversions. For instance, here it bought impression 2 and 5 because the algorithm identified that they will bring conversion to your campaign with positive ROI. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So some of you may think that this could be achieved by creating several campaigns for each type of traffic. It is called manual optimization, and there are several drawbacks to this approach. First of all, it would require from you to create a separate campaign with separate CPM bid for each type of traffic. That is for each type of conversion impression. But as we remember, there are many user parameters for each impression. So there are a huge number of possible combinations. Plus, each zone or ad placement works differently for your campaign. So manual optimization would require you to blacklist and whitelist those zones for each campaign. Moreover, you will have to guess a proper bid for each campaign. And this is very hard and extremely costly. So we consider this strategy practically impossible. And now it's time to some real life examples. Sergey will pick up for here. Serежа, tell us what you have prepared for us today, please.
Yeah, thank you, Yakov. We have a great study today to show you. We'll show you a campaign that was launched. It was a real campaign that was launched on CPM and then on CPA Goal 2.0, and you will be able to compare the results. You will see how impressive CPA Goal is for the real campaigns. So let's start with an example. We had an advertiser that was buying traffic from South Africa, tried to get a conversion for approximately $1. Initially, he launched a CPM campaign with a bid of $10. And so see basically what he got. He spent around $70 on his test and got only 16 conversions. So each conversion cost approximately $4.5 for him. And that's much higher than his CPA goal. We see that the only zone that really drove enough conversions for this campaign, there was only one such zone. But even for this zone, the traffic cost almost twice more. Other zones drove almost no conversions, and the advertiser spent most part of his budget by testing these relevant zones. He launched CPM campaign, but if he tried to launch Smart CPM, he would have better results because he will manage to get different bids on these zones, but he will still face the same issues. Let's see what's changed when he launched the CPA Goal 2.0 campaign. Okay, so here he launched exactly the same campaign, same targeting, same landing, but with a different bidding model. And his CPA goal was set similar to $1. First of all, you can just look at the results. He managed to receive more than 3,000 conversions with an average conversion price even less than his goal. It actually was only 86 cents.
Oh, great. And how did this happen?
Let's look at the breakdown of the ad placements here and analyze the CPM values. You can see them in the CPM column. We can see that algorithm was able to choose the correct CPM bid for each placement. Moreover, those bids differ drastically compared to his initial $10 bid.
Sergey, could you please comment on the table? For example, take the first line and explain the number there.
Okay, of course, I can. So for example, look at this first line. The algorithm was able to buy 341 conversions with a CPM around $6.5. This is much less than we initially had before, $10. On the other hand, if we look on the fourth line, we bought more than 400 conversions, making a bid on the zone more than or around $40. Now this is much higher than $10, right? His initial CPM campaign had just no chance of buying this kind of highly converting traffic, simply because the bid was much, much lower.
Well, I think it's very illustrative. Thank you, Sergey. This data clearly show the CPA goal to zero perform much better on the same traffic than the CPM bidding model.
Okay, so let's move on then. Yeah, so we focused on the ad placements on the previous slide in the beginning of our case study. But as Yakov mentioned during his talk, the CPA goal algorithm takes into account a lot of different factors. So we, looking at our example campaigns, we can see some of its results broken down by other factors. And we can see that the CPM that was used differs highly, for example, between browser and user activity.
And Sergey, could you please comment on this term, user activity? I think earlier we used a different one.
Yeah, sure. So earlier we mentioned the views count. That's basically how often users see the ads in our network. And these things are related. So these are the screenshots again from the CPA goal campaign. And I will repeat, the CPM differs almost twice for browser or user activity. That's why it's almost impossible to repeat this approach and use manual optimization and manual bidding, because it's very hard to slice and dice your campaign by such small slices. That's why you shouldn't do it manually. Okay, so as you remember, in his first part, Yakov told us that the true goal of the CPA goal 2.0 is to understand the conversion rate, understand where the campaign converts best. But in order to understand that and to adjust your campaign bids, the algorithm requires this optimization period.
So basically, it did to test your campaign on various types of traffic, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So it shows your ads on various parts of our network and estimates the conversion rate on different slices. Then it's used this conversion rate for rotation. And as a result, it calculates the dynamic bids similar to what we see in our case study. So here's a chart that shows how the conversion price normally changes during the optimization period. So first you can see that it starts higher, and as campaign gets more and more traffic and more conversions, the conversions price is going down, making it closer to your target bid. The price, the conversion price, finally we get, it's normally around plus minus 10% of the goal. Sometimes your campaign will stick a bit above the goal and just stay there. And sometimes, as we saw in our case study, it will stick a bit below the goal. But that's totally fine. On average, you're launching many campaigns and the resulting conversion price will be very close to your goal.
Okay, so So the question to our audience, do you understand how optimization period works? Can you write in the chat? So I have I see the questions here. Yes, we use artificial intelligence and we use machine learning to calculate conversion rates. This is why it's so complicated to do manually, and it is possible to do, and we are able to do it. We also are able to produce huge number of data, like people call it big data. So also because of this, we're able to predict conversion rate on so many slices, on so many different slices. By investing money in a relatively short optimization period, your campaign will be able to learn about the conversion rate.
Yeah. And the replay link will be available, as Kira answered.
Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah, let's move forward. So there are actually very good questions. I see, and maybe we will answer them during our Q&A session at the end. So you can just repeat them in the question section, also that you will be able to participate in our prize draw. Okay, and here you just can see the real example in the interface where particular ad placements or zones are stopped or basically has a traffic rotation depending on the result of the optimization period. Okay, now let's look at how we can set up the CPA goal in our system. CPA Goal 2.0 has been working on the Papander traffic for more than a year. It's a pretty popular pricing model. You and Zoom, we encourage you to try more and more once we use the CPM and Smart CPM. But also recently we opened a beta testing on the push notifications as well. So if you want to run the CPA goal on push notifications, just let know your manager or write to our support team. In order to run the CPA Goal 2.0 campaign, simply select the advertising format, like in this case, on-click, and the CPA Goal 2.0 pricing model. Next, you should specify the CPA goal value.
Yes, Sergey, we often get questions from our users on what CPA goal to choose. Could you please tell us about it, how to choose it?
Yeah, right. It's a very popular question, actually. So you have a reference point, right? So you have the payout from your CPA network or advertisers. So you should just enter your payout minus your margin. But the next question is, how should I choose my margin, right? So we will talk about selecting the right size of the margin and how to calculate it a bit later. Also, it's very important to select a proper conversion type for your campaign because it will shorten the optimization period. And your campaign will start getting the conversions as the target price sooner.
Is there anything else that's important to know, anything crucial?
Yeah, there is one thing, basically. It's very important that you do not forget to set up the proper conversion tracking in our system. Unless you do that, you won't be able to register your conversions. In this case, after running our campaign, your campaign on our traffic, we won't know what slices perform best for you. We'll just stop these campaigns as we'll think they're inefficient. But spending money on the testing and optimization. So please set up the correct conversion tracking. Make sure it's working. Okay, so now as I promised, let's talk about the best practices for setting up the CPA Goal 2.0 campaign. A part of this actually will correlate with the questions that I saw in the chart regarding the type of campaign. Okay, so first of all, again, let's talk a bit more about these values of CPA goal. As we've said, it should be your payout minus your margin. But how do you choose your margin then? If it's the first time you're running such type of campaigns in Propeller Ads, you actually do not know how it will perform, right? And so you should choose a higher margin in order to see how your campaign works well. So you will be a bit more protected from going over budget. But if you already run similar campaigns and they worked well for you, and you just like start trying like different creative, or just it's a bit different offer, but you run similar offers in Propeller Ads, then you better to choose or try to at least experiment of choosing the lower margin. So then you will get a higher CPA goal and then the higher CPM beats. So this may allow you to get more traffic and so more conversions.
So let me understand. While earning less from each conversion, you will earn more in total for your campaign, right?
Yeah, just like that, exactly. Next, for some campaigns, it's still possible the conversion price is higher than the CPA goal by more than this 10%. So in this case that you saw in optimization period, in this case, if it's more, if it's around like 20%, you may want to reduce your CPA goal by increasing your margin. If you see that your over budget expenses are so significant that you need to reduce the rate by 50% or even more, this actually might be two reasons for that. So either please look closely to your campaign, check its targeting, the landing, whether it correlates with the like conversions you're trying to get, check your S2S tracking, right? So the other reason is that just this campaign, for some reason, cannot find the right traffic and perform on our traffic. And it just got stuck in the optimization period. And when I'm saying like perform well, you may also think it's like perform well comparing to others, because there are many campaigns launched every day and they're all competing to the traffic. So you should get a pretty decent performance in order to get the amount of traffic you want. If your campaign has been working fine and suddenly it started to go over budget, so please contact our support in this case. If it was like close to goal and was running for a week, then you start getting the increase for some reason. So please contact support. That's normal, shouldn't happen. Last but not least, the higher the CPA goal is, the more rare are the conversions, right? So it's also the CPA goal depends, what is high depends on the your targeting, right? But if we will stick with one country, for example, US, so the higher the conversion rate, the CPA goal, the more rare the conversions. So it takes the algorithm longer to pass the optimization period and find the right traffic for you. So here the chances of going over budget are higher compared to the lower CPA goals. Okay, so it's also important to know how to properly set up your campaigns in terms of targeting. So the traffic is really very different. But some people, this is a very common mistake, guys. Some people prefer to throw all the traffic slices in one campaign and hope for some magic to happen, even though they understand that this traffic doesn't convert similarly. For example, if you are mixing Europe and US with some Asian traffic, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, this may be not a very good idea. Don't do that. The conversion rate for such drastically different traffic will be completely different. And so it will be very hard, or at least you make much harder for the algorithm to optimize your campaign. So it's better to divide your campaign by slices where you expect it to behave similarly to get some steady conversion rates.
So basically you should group by similar regions, like for example, US and Canada, and maybe, I don't know, China with something else, right?
Yeah. So this is at least a pretty common mistake. So you also can think in terms of other factors, but this problem with the geo regions is very, very common. So group Asian countries together and like Europe countries together, divide them on different campaigns. So also, this is kind of correlated to the previous point. You shouldn't run campaigns where CPI goal rates differ very much. Like if they differ 30-40%, around that, like you put the CPI goal for, I don't know, Great Britain, $1.50, and you put them for Sweden like $2, that's completely fine. But if you started to enter in rates that are 5-10 times, with 5 to 10 times difference, like 10 cents and $1, then no, again, don't do that, because it will only make the optimization longer, because clearly you are searching for different users for different conversions here. Better to launch 2 separate campaigns. So the system will require more time. It will be harder for it to find proper traffic, and the chance of going over budget will be higher. And the last point is about white and black lists. So you know that with all the AI and machine learning, it's still good to help it if you already know some information. So if you run some tests before and you have some white and black lists, like whether the campaign is working on broker traffic or not, or whether you want to filter out this particular large zone, looking at your prior experience. So use it in your campaign targeting. It will help algorithm not to spend testing budget on this particular traffic and focus on the other traffic where you expect better performance, and you will get just better results here.
Okay, I hope that you have a better understanding of CPA goal pricing model now, and we gave you enough freedoms to try and start your own CPA goal campaign. Let's quickly recap what we are talking about today. So we discussed the CPA goal key benefits over other pricing model. Remember, you may get 5 to 10 more conversions using the pricing model over the CPM pricing model. We covered best practices that provide tips for launching successful CPA goal campaign. I hope you agree now that working with CPA goal is more efficient than inconvenient with any other model. So we're looking forward to see you start your own CPA goal campaign and get your performance and ROI boost. So now we are moving to Q&A session.
Yeah, let's move to Q&A. Okay, before we move to the Q&A, basically, we have a few questions to ask you. So please check out the polls tab and write your answers in our questionnaire. We value your feedback because it helps us to make our webinars even better. So please do that.
And now let's move to the questions. Yes, Sergey. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure you do in the poll section. So I believe in you. And so while we will go with the Q&A. Okay, so we had some Q&A, some questions gathered before the webinar, right? And so we also have questions in question tab. So let us first answer the questions that were gathered initially and then switch to your questions. And then we will select the winners. Okay, the sample asks, is it advisable to use 2 countries on CPA Goal 2.0? So I think I answered that. So it depends on basically whether they're somehow related. So Indian and US probably not. Like European countries, yeah, please do that. And even like it's very common targeting that we see, for example, someone targeting on the users from the English world. US, Great Britain, New Zealand, South Africa, Australia. That's very common targeting. It's perfectly fine. Why do most campaigns end up not getting enough traffic, even if the bid is set high? How to scale your CPA goal campaign? And the next question from Luke actually kind of relates to that. So what is the best strategy for scaling? So I would say there are 2 situations here, right? So first you get a working campaign that's getting traffic with like some rate, but you can get conversion, so it's working, but you want more, right? So here basically we talked about trying to lower your margin a bit to see if the high CPM will drive more traffic for you. You can try this one. So the second is still the algorithms still have some randomness in its core, right? So I know that many of you try to run the copies or doubles of campaigns and hoping to see like more traffic. So again, you can try to do that as well. Maybe you have a new traffic in our system, or for example, the traffic was that had a very high CPM because some other advertising was buying it when you tested your campaign initially. Maybe now the competition is much lower and you will be able to get this traffic. And so like a sneak peek for you, so we will work in, like we are working on the features that will help you to scale your CPA goal campaigns automatically, to kind of, for successful campaigns, to retest them on some new traffic without you actually adding a new campaign. So we're working on that, and like expect the webinar in some time that will tell you how this feature will work. So the other case is basically when you start in the campaign, it's optimized, and like, then you do not get enough traffic. So here, basically, it's very similar to what I told about the successful campaign, but also, and I saw a question actually about how the CPA goal works with, it's kind of related to that, how the CPA goal works with campaigns with low conversion rates and probably like high CPA goal values. Like someone is gathering leads in the US for $25. So we had such customers, and they're basically running the CPA goal pretty successfully. So I would say this depends largely on how your campaign converts. So if it has a pretty decent conversion rate, that's not a problem. It will pass the optimization period, and so it will be a bit longer, and the budget for testing will be more. And but at the end, it will start getting conversions close and to the target value, and you will receive your traffic. It's not happening. Then you may consider trying to look at the funnel. Like if you can look some conversions in the funnels that are closer to the beginning, and so has a bit higher conversion rates, you should try to run the CPA goal with this type of conversions and to check our traffic. So which ads, let's move on. The Shiva asked, which ads will be covered in the CPA goal 2.0 and how these are better than CPM and Smart CPM? Actually, I do not think there is any like a special ad type or vertical or targeting where this model works best compared to others. So we have a lot of examples in pretty much every traffic we do have. So it's mostly depends on your campaign. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide.
Okay, Sergey, let's try. We also have a lot of questions. I hear new questions here.
Yeah, but I think Yakov, we have a couple of questions here.
Okay, right.
Okay, so Emmanuel asked us about like whether like he feels, looking at this tab, he feels like there is some like gaming going on, right? Some automatic bidding and how it works. So is it ethical in auto optimization? So I would say that this actually, I'm saying it completely honestly. So this model was created for you, and we want you basically to earn more money by running it, and to launch more campaigns and to get more conversions, so that you have more opportunity to start comparing to the CPM, as you saw in our case study. In some cases, it's very hard to get started with CPM. You can just lose a lot of money for testing. So this particular for the technology for the clients, that just helps us to get more clients, more happy clients, I would say. Okay, and Cesare asked basically, what rules should we stick not to work against the platform? Is it advised to test campaigns with moving parts, and what is the recommended budget? The rules I told you on the best practices section, they still relevant. As for the moving parts, so it's actually a very bad idea. So if you also do that, don't do, is to, you get a campaign, it's running, and you trying to change something in the campaign. Like you can change the rate, right? But you can, for example, change the landing in the running campaign, or somehow play with targeting. So sometimes, like if you're really experienced in that, that may work for you, but for most people it doesn't. And so what is the recommended budget is basically, it's hard to tell. It depends on your targeting, and it depends on your conversion price. So we have a lot of people that run the extensions with the CPA goal for, I don't know, 15 cents, 20 cents, and they spend on tests like dollars up to $10, and they see results and start getting traffic. Like again, if you're gathering leads for $25, you will probably need to have 100, even more, maybe $200 for that to test such type of campaign. Okay, so let's move on basically to the questions section. Okay, so much questions, guys. Oh, see, I see they're upvoted, right? So I may actually go and see the questions here. So the Alex asked, is CPA Goal 2.0 is better than, I think yeah, so this is basically, the question is on your screen, right? So better than smart bidding, I think he means smart CPM. And why? So again, the smart CPM helps you to pay less for each impression on Zone, but its performance doesn't depend on your conversions. So you saw in case studies that on the campaign when you converted, the advertiser was able to buy traffic for a price as high as $40 CPM. So it's hard to get such high value out of the smart CPM bidding, and also to basically on the lower slices to get lower value. So it's very important that the CPA Goal 2.0 adjusts bids dynamically for the conversions.
Yeah, I think the major difference between Smart CPM and CPA Goal, the CPA Goal adjusts bids for your campaign, while Smart CPM is kind of general bidding adjustment for all the bidding which happens in Propeller. And sometimes it's not the same. So there can be very highly priced traffic that doesn't convert your campaign at all, and vice versa. It can be very cheap traffic that converts your campaign. So because of this, CPA Goal works much better than Smart CPM. While Smart CPM sometimes works better than CPM, just CPM, plain CPM.
Okay, the next pretty upvoted question is, do you recommend CPA Goal 2.0 for low payout offers, like cost per install, like 40 cents or less? Yes, I do. So that's basically, again, as I've said, you would expect a pretty high conversion rate here. So the lower optimization period, the sooner you will see your results, the sooner you will understand whether you need to adjust somehow your campaign, like landing or something, and you will be close to the target. So we have a lot of advertisers running exactly this type of campaign in our system. For CPA goal 2.0, yes, I said it's beta testing. Let's see for more polls here. Let's move to the let's see. I just okay. So this is a pretty popular question. What is the minimum time period that you guys recommend to run the campaign for CPA goal and its daily budget? So for the time period, this basically, we have campaigns that run for weeks or even like several months, the CPA Goal 2.0 campaigns in our system. So people just, they get their bid. It allows you to get them consistent volumes of traffic because they convert well. And they just started this campaign and like it's driving conversions to them. So there is no like an end period. From the other hand, if like you're not doing so well, the optimization will pretty much ends up with you getting traffic only on small amount of zones where you perform well, and you will actually also see that it's somehow stopped. As for the daily budget, again, it depends highly on your CPA goal value. So normally, as I understand, what people do is when they just starting the campaign, they limit somehow their budget for, I don't know, for this campaign. Again, like I would say $50, but it really depends on your experience with buying such type of traffic and such type of conversions, and see the results. And if you like buying the lower CPA goals, then it can be even lower test budget. And then you can increase this daily budget depending on how you like the performance of the campaign. Okay, so I think let's like do 3 more questions. Okay, so I see some of them are already answered by our moderators. They're answering faster than me. So there was a question I'll just quickly mention. So do the new campaigns have a priority to receive more traffic than existing campaigns created with a CPA goal? So I wouldn't say that they have a priority, but they have their share to go through optimization period. So there is not strictly a question about priority, but it's still a question of still to try your campaign in different parts of our traffic with like spending, taking basically the cost for each impression that we normally do.
It's okay, I think it's, sorry.
Oh, it's already, you selected something, Yakov.
Okay, I selected, but I see I'm done answering. But there is an interesting question. If some offer pays $1, then CPA goal will be 70 or 80 cents. Yes, it's pretty much a good, I think it's a good decision to go with these prices. Again, you can go even lower at the beginning, and at the end you can increase this number, because the more, the higher CPA goal you will put there, the more traffic you will get. So if you're confident, the more you're confident with your campaign, the higher should be your CPA goal bid. When you start, you may put it lower. Okay, let's choose another one.
Yeah, you should click the, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we discussed that a bit, but let me answer it maybe again, so that because it's important, right? So what is the effect of duplicating the CPA goal campaign with the same bid? So I would say that there are some cases when it makes sense. As I've said, maybe you think that just the situation changed, and or maybe there were not enough conversions, and as I've said, it's all random, right? So the conversions happen at random, and you may went through the period where nobody like converted on yet, but like in, for example, next time you will see more conversions, and then you will get more traffic in the end and stick to some traffic in the network. So I would say yes, but it's just the idea that it's not the silver bullet. And most of the time, as I gave you an example, so we had a lot of clients that run their campaigns for weeks and months. They're not duplicating them a lot. They're trying some new creatives. So this is the main purpose where we're starting the new campaigns. So you should mainly focus on conversions and on just duplicating the campaigns.
Yeah, I think I think Sergey, we made some experiments, and it shows that if you have a really bad campaign, so you don't get any conversions, then duplicating will probably not help you at all.
Yeah, at all, right.
But if you have really good campaign, then yes, maybe the duplicating will help you. Also, not for sure. So if you have very good campaign and you see a lot of conversion and want more traffic, then you should try to duplicate. If you run your campaign and have very poor result, then duplicating it most probably, not 100% sure, but most probably will you will stay with the poor result as well. You will just lose your money. So be careful with duplicating bad converting campaign.
Right. Okay, so I think it's time to basically enter the prize draw and choose the 3 winners. So let's actually, wow, there's so many questions.
I personally very like the last one about the duplication.
Right. So this one.
Yes.
This one was good. I would say the question about the whether it's good to run campaigns for single opt-in, like with 40 cents and less CPA goal. It was a good question because that's really what most people do. And I think let's choose one question from the presentation, right? So can we see the questions from presentation again?
I think the first one was really good, so I would go maybe for this.
Yeah, can we show? Can we see the first slide?
Yeah, for Samuel's.
Yes. The Samuel was good because it's actually this question of scaling is pretty popular, and many person are interested in this question. Yeah, so this we will go with this 3 then, right, Yakov?
Yeah, yes. Let's go with the 3 questions. Yes. So okay. Thank you everybody for attending our webinar. We're glad to speak about the CPA goal and hope it will help you to improve your results. Thank you for attending.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, bye for me.
Okay. Yeah, remember, we will send you this presentation by email. And so see you all on our next webinars. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.